Seymour Hersh has shed light on some of the darkest events in U.S. military history. He's won journalism's highest honors for boldly revealing the ugly truth, even when it embarrassed his country and shamed its leaders.
I'm a great believer in the First Amendment. I'm a Jeffersonian, and I'll take it to its max. It's your job, Mr. President, to keep it secret. It's my job to find it out.
Hersh cut his teeth in the 1960s on the crime beat in Chicago. After stints at United Press International and the Associated Press, he left journalism briefly to be press secretary for Eugene McCarthy during his run for president in 1968. He made his name the following year when he returned to print as a freelancer. Hersh won the Pulitzer Prize in 1970 for exposing the My Lai massacre in Vietnam and subsequent efforts to cover up what happened. American soldiers torched homes and gunned down more than 500 unarmed civilians in the Viet Cong stronghold known as Pinkville, many of them women and children. The Army conducted only a cursory field investigation until 6 months later, when some soldiers began to talk. Only then did the military launch a larger internal inquiry. In the end, only one soldier would serve time, the Army platoon leader who led the soldiers into My Lai, a 26-year-old named William Calley Jr. Hersh's stunning reporting provoked international condemnation, helped shift public sentiment against the Vietnam War, and fueled the anti-war effort. It was a story Hersh had to fight to get published. 5 articles finally ran in November 1969.
Nobody wanted to publish the story. I had written for the AP and done a lot of good stuff for them as a correspondent there. And it wasn't as if there wasn't, there wasn't some track record. It was pretty amazing. It was sort of scary.
35 years later, Hersh would stun the world again when he revealed that U.S. soldiers were torturing and humiliating Iraqi prisoners inside the infamous Abu Ghraib prison near Baghdad.
CBS already had the fixtures, but I got this report, the written report by General Taguba.
3 devastating articles were published in The New Yorker, where Hersh has been a regular contributor since 1993. He provided graphic evidence. Prisoners were taunted, stripped naked, and forced into sexually explicit poses. Hersh reported the Pentagon encouraged physical coercion and sexual humiliation in an effort to obtain more intelligence about the growing insurgency in Iraq.
Get these people blackmailed, in a sense. Go to them with the photographs and say, we want you to get out of prison. They were all young men, if you remember. Go back to your neighborhood and join the insurgency and let us know. If you don't, we're going to put these pictures out to everybody you went to high school with. That was the idea. Didn't work.
There were at least 28 suspicious deaths at Abu Ghraib. After the September 11th terror attacks, Hersh alleges, former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld paved the way for the abuse with a secret operation, authorizing interrogations in Afghanistan and at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba to track down members of al-Qaeda. When insurgent attacks increased in Iraq, Hersh says, the Pentagon decided to Gitmoize Abu Ghraib. Hersh reported intelligence officers encouraged soldiers to throw out the rules.
The sense of wanting revenge was so acute, we lost it. And, that's when you really need moral leadership. That's when you need a president to step up and say, there's a Geneva Convention. Instead, they did the opposite.
The general in charge of Abu Ghraib, Janice Karpinski, estimates 90% of the prisoners were innocent. She was demoted, and 11 soldiers were court-martialed. Hersh has established strong sources in the intelligence world and has taken pains over the years to protect them. Over 4 decades, he's often aggravated presidents, both Republican and Democrat, and Pentagon brass. He reported that George W. Bush's administration pressured its intelligence agencies to hand over raw information that had not been vetted for reliability. According to Hersh, that decision played a critical role in the case for war against Iraq. The information was later discredited.
They only saw the side they wanted, because there were no checks. the old cliche, my way or the highway. Inside, there were no checks.
Hersh won the National Magazine Award in 2003 for a series of articles, including one about Richard Perle, who was the chairman of the Defense Policy Board, an extremely influential advisory group to the Pentagon. Perle was also a managing partner of a company that provides defense technology and services. Perle had been an assistant secretary of defense during the Reagan administration and was an outspoken advocate for going to war again with Iraq. Hersh argued Perle opened himself up to a conflict of interest when he held a meeting with Saudi arms broker Adnan Khashoggi. Khashoggi told Hersh Perle's business success depended on war and asserted Perle was peddling influence. CNN's Wolf Blitzer asked Perle to respond to Hersh's allegation that he was pushing a war that could also fill his pockets.
Look, Cy Hersh is the closest thing American journalism has to a terrorist, frankly.
But Hersh considers himself a patriot because he reveals information presidents and generals would prefer to keep hidden. Seymour Hersh takes no prisoners and makes no apologies.
You basically do it because it's awful and people do get mad at you, but I'm not done. Not nearly done.